Caney. So we want to add Caney to this threat area as well. Let me kick that into motion. And again, we'll watch that really develop quickly. And oftentimes, the way this structure with this storm has been, it has developed quickly, and then we've seen these features kind of fall apart pretty quickly too. So the tornado warning remains in effect until 6:15, but the main part of the rotation, again, right along the Oklahoma-Kansas state line, maybe just to the north, all the way up to Highway 166. So if you're in Caney and all the way over to Tyro, you need to take your tornado precautions right now. That means lowest level, center part, smallest room. If you are a kid, home alone, waiting for mom and dad to get home, just head to the center part of your home. If you're in a mobile home or car, you got to get to a sturdy nearby shelter, especially if you're in the Caney area. Let's go back to reflectivity. Again, so far, I have not seen any indication that we've got any debris being indicated with this or lofted up into the radar signal. We are starting to get quite a bit more in the way of these purples. That's an indication that we've got some hail in this storm, but the peak threat, again, is that rotation with the storm that's just about to move out of Chautauqua County and into the southwestern corner of Montgomery County. So we're going to continue to watch this one closely. It looks like that rotation is slowly moving toward the east. I'm going to at least kill that icon off there. So this is County Road 1400. Here's the community of Caney. This is the state line, that red line right at the edge of that tornado warning polygon, and all the way north along Highway 166. That's the golf course right up here, the Caney Golf Course just coming out from underneath that Doppler radar banner. So the rotation area is located right here. Let's take a look again in velocity, and it's not as strong as it was just a couple of minutes ago, but it continues to be just to the west of Caney. Let's check in with Fox 23 storm tracker Greg McLaughlin, and he's been on this storm. Do we have Greg standing by? Do we have a video from him? Let's see what his pick looks like. So again, it looks to me like we've had a pretty strong, pretty sizable wall cloud with it earlier. This starting to look like it may be a little bit more outflow dominant, which might restrict the ability of this thing to produce a tornado real quickly. So as long as that rain-cooled outflow air is outpacing the updraft part of the storm, then it looks like the odds of an imminent tornado may be a little bit lower, but this is still a really, really tight circulation on radar. So this is the live view right up into the updraft of this thunderstorm that you're looking right alongside with us. Fox 23 storm tracker Greg McLaughlin has been following this storm across southern parts of Chautauqua County as it moved to the east, northeast, and now east. And you can see right along the base of that updraft, that lowered part of the cloud where the wall cloud is, it's still a substantial wall cloud, but you don't see any funnels with it, but we're continuing to watch it closely as it moves to the east. That's going to be really close to moving into Montgomery County, very close to the community of Caney. So if you're in Caney right now, take your tornado precautions. Again, lowest level, center part, smallest room of your home. If you're in a mobile home, you've got to get to a sturdy nearby shelter. This thing's not moving super fast, moving east right around 20 miles per hour as it continues to slide toward the east. But this is about the best picture we have right now. It's going to be in the Caney area just in the next few minutes. The official tornado warning is in effect for about 18 more minutes. It expires at 6:15. And it still looks like a really robust wall cloud. Again, it looks like it might be a little bit outflow dominant. I don't see any funnels or lowerings out of this wall cloud, but we're continuing to watch it closely as we watch and continue to watch the storm move out of Chautauqua into Montgomery County. Let's check in with the Fox 23 meteorologist, Michaela Smith. Michaela?
Yeah, so we're still taking a close look on this storm, seeing where that tornado warning is right now, again, going from Chautauqua into Montgomery County. So that's where we do have our tornado warning in effect right now. You can see a severe thunderstorm warning outside of this area too. And if we click over here, we can see we may have a little bit of hail even here for some of us across the area. So you can see just to the south of Sedan and then closer to Havana too. That's where we're seeing a little bit of hail too. So maybe about dime-size hail right now here, so that's also a threat. Obviously, the tornado warning is the biggest issue that we're talking about here, and our main threat that we're watching for very closely, but that's something to be wary of too. If we have to start to have larger hail, wind speeds start to pick up as well, that's going to cause some issues across the area. So we'll switch this back over to reflectivity. You can see, again, this is where our tornado warning is right now, just to the south of Havana, near Caney, Kansas. So that's what we're watching very, very closely. And you can take a look here, too, from our storm tracker, Greg McLaughlin. You can see just how ominous some of these clouds are. I don't think we've heard any reports yet that we have had anything touch down. James is shaking his head over there. So nothing has been reported to touch down yet. But we're still going to keep a very close eye on this. So if you're just now joining us, this is what you need to be doing. You need to be taking your tornado precautions right now. If you are in Chautauqua and Montgomery counties, that means you need to be getting to the lowest level of your house, the most center part of your house that you can, away from doors, away from windows. That's going to be the best place for you right now. If you're waiting for your family to get home, maybe you're kidding, you got dropped off at the bus stop. It's okay, stay calm. Things are looking pretty good so far. We haven't seen anything confirmed, but just something you need to be aware of. Now, we can see as we continue to watch this, just something to be aware of too that we're going to see in velocity. We can kind of switch this over, see if we've had any kind of tightening up here on the couplets. And I'm not seeing a ton of that yet. James, do you want to kind of take back over and see what you're looking at over there?
Yeah, let's take a look because, again, we've watched rotation not only visibly from some of our storm trackers and from emergency management in Montgomery County. This is moving right into the Caney area and now northern Washington County, just right on the Oklahoma side of the state line, and this rotation has been added to the tornado warning. This is until 6:45, the main threat area right along the state line. I do understand we have Fox 23 storm tracker Greg McLaughlin standing by. Greg, you've been on this storm for a while. What are you seeing?
Yes, James. I've watched this storm as it's gradually been moving east over the last hour. Within the last 15 minutes, the rotation has increased from basically nothing visible to pretty strong broad rotation. Right now, I don't see anything that's tightening up that would be an imminent tornado. But again, that can change pretty quickly with these storms. It's almost right here on top of my location, so I'll have to move here pretty soon. But fortunately, so far, I haven't seen anything really tighten up. The circulation right now is passing over the town of Caney, and it will be on the east side of Caney here within the next couple of minutes. They are sounding sirens in the town, but the good news right now, we don't have anything that's on the ground at this time.
Okay, Greg, and again, that's what we're seeing on radar too. It doesn't look like the velocity data indicating this is super sharp rotation, but it's right on the threshold. So you're right in the exact spot you need to be in as you continue to watch this storm. It's moving east, right along or barely north of the Kansas-Oklahoma state line. And to give you an idea, so Caney area right now, as Greg has said, and continuing to move east, right along Highway 166 and south to the Oklahoma-Kansas state line. In Cotton Valley, you're going to be okay unless this thing takes a little bit of a turn back toward the east-southeast. This is going to be one you need to really be watching closely. And for Dewey and for Bartlesville, and we're looking at this passing to your north. Again, Greg repositioning right now as he gets back away from that rotation. And very close to Caney right now. No tornado has been confirmed or sighted. No funnel clouds have been sighted yet either, but strong rotation on Doppler radar. You saw the wall cloud just a few minutes ago when Greg was pointing that way. Now he's repositioning heading east, getting a little bit better vantage point on that storm. Let's take a closer in view of right where that rotation is. We're looking in southern parts of Montgomery County. Now, if this thing holds together and makes it all the way east a few more miles, that's going to eventually threaten Coffeyville, but it's moving slowly. We still have a long way to go before we need to worry about Coffeyville just yet. But if you're in Coffeyville, watchful waiting for sure. The main rotation is very close to Caney and continuing to move toward the east, maybe a little closer view. Some of those streets in this, there's the street grid of Caney, and that rotation now passing east of Caney, right along, maybe just to the south of Highway 166. So anywhere from that Oklahoma-Kansas state line north all the way up to Highway 166, you should be in your tornado safe rooms immediately as we watch this storm move toward the east. You are watching Fox 23 News at 6 o'clock, and the news is Breaking weather right now with a tornado warning in effect for northern Washington County in Oklahoma until 6:45 and southern parts of Montgomery County until 6:15. So that's going to be in effect at least for our Kansas counties now for about 11 more minutes. And that's the storm that we're watching very close to Caney. Let's take a wider view because we also have quite a bit of hail with this storm right along 166 and Highway 75. That, too, is going to move toward the east as well. Jumping into Tulsa, there is no immediate threat at all for the metro area. No severe weather watches or warnings in Tulsa, and you can see radar is clear for us. We still do have a severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect from Highway 60 and north. And then, of course, our tornado warnings. Our team coverage continues with Fox 23 meteorologist Michaela Smith. Michaela?
Yeah, so we'll take another close look again where this tornado warning is right now. We can see it expanded just a little bit. It does include parts of Washington County here, one of our Oklahoma counties, but its main focus so far has been our two Kansas counties. So we're talking about Chautauqua, we're talking about Montgomery County. That is until 6:15. Our Washington County, that's until 6:45. So that's where that rotation is right now. We can kind of switch over here to velocity and see if we're seeing a little bit of tightening up, and you can see where that rotation is close to Caney right now. That's where we're focusing, kind of watching this. So if you're just joining us, again, you need to be getting into your safe place right now. If you are in Chautauqua and Montgomery County, that's going to be the lowest level of your house. That's going to be the most center part of your house that you possibly can be, away from outside walls, away from windows. That's where this rotation is right now, and if it continues on its path just directly eastward, we'll see it eventually getting a little bit closer just to the south of Fawn Creek and then eventually closer to Coffeyville right now. You can see this overwide, bigger box here in yellow. That's going to be that severe thunderstorm warning. So tornado is this little smaller part that we're talking about right now. We'll switch this back over to reflectivity. You can see quite a bit of hail, too, just to the north of where this tornado warning is. So you can see that's where the rotation is, again, just closer to Caney. But where we have some of this purple reflectivity, that's going to be some hail. So we can switch this over here and kind of see off of our reflectivity. This is getting a little bit bigger now. So expecting to see maybe up to quarter size hail, getting a little bit larger now. So that's another reason you want to be most center part of your house that you can be. When those winds start to pick up and you start to talk about seeing a little bit more hail being thrown around, that becomes a problem. So we'll continue to track this storm as it moves off towards the east. If we see any kind of change and it starts to move a little bit more towards the south, that is why that tornado warning has been included for parts of Washington County. We'll switch this back over to reflectivity. So again, big yellow box here, that's going to be that severe thunderstorm warning. But our area of focus right now is still where we're looking here with that tornado warning that we're looking at. So we'll try to take a closer look here, see if we can zoom in more right by Caney where we're seeing some of this reflectivity. There we go. So we'll move this just a little bit closer to Caney. That's where we're talking about having this tornado warning. So switch this over, see if our velocity, we can kind of move this. That's where we're going to be zooming in. Now we'll kind of zoom back out just a little bit more. Got a little too tight here. Overall, that's what we're looking at right here. So this is going to be that area of rotation that we're seeing it. It has picked up a little bit more. You can see one of our Fox 23 storm trackers right now is tracking the storm, has been watching it over the last several minutes, and he has noted that there's a little bit more kind of a spin that we're dealing with, but he has not confirmed that they've seen anything on the ground at this point. But this is where that main rotation is that we're watching very, very closely, getting closer to Caney, very, very close to the state line between Kansas and Oklahoma. So please be in your safe spots. And I think I'm looking over. James, you getting a little bit close to look. You want to take back over?
Yeah, let's take a look because, again, the rotation is now east of Caney. The tornado warning continues in extreme southern Montgomery County and northern Washington County, well north of Copan, Dewey, Bartlesville. This will pass well north of Nowata and Lenapaw as well. The main focus right along the Kansas-Oklahoma state line now, east of Highway 75 and slowly approaching Tyro and 169. You can see on the left side of your screen one of our storm trackers repositioning to get out ahead of that system. Fox 23 storm tracker Greg McLaughlin. And Greg, I know you're multitasking, driving and keeping an eye on that big wall cloud that's just behind you. What's the state of what you're seeing right now?
I think I've got just enough distance. So I'm going to exit off the highway here and point us back at it and get an idea what we're dealing with. And you can see we got striations in the updraft, which means it's a deep, organized, rotating updraft here. And again, at the low levels, I don't see, I'm going to get out here and kind of look at it for a second and watch this thing. It's definitely pretty strong motion back in there, but again, there's a lowered area here I'm watching, and it definitely has some motion with it. So I mean, from what I see, the tornado warning is at least still warranted right now because it looks like the storm is still trying to cycle, and it at any moment here it could actually produce something. So that looks like that wall cloud was a little bit more ragged about 10 minutes ago, and it part of that's starting to come back together a little bit. So it may be reorganizing here. We're going to continue watching it. I won't be at this position very long because it seems like the storm is moving a little bit faster than it was earlier.
Greg, what road are you on right now?
Let's see here. I'm off of Highway 166, and let's see what this is off of here.
So you're east of Caney, though. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Laminar-looking wall cloud above, ragged-looking wall cloud on the bottom. You're in an excellent vantage point right here. As we continue to see, if we're going to see this thing produce a funnel or tornado, it would happen right there in your shot, right over the highway.
Yeah, so I am, let me move my camera back this way a little bit better so you can see more of it. So I am right at the town of Tyro, so that's just a few miles east of Caney on 166. And with the movement of this storm being almost due east right now, it's a pretty good road to keep, staying ahead of this thing. There's definitely rotation, but again, I haven't seen anything yet that's really consolidated into a point. We've got quite a bit of precipitation falling through the north side of this mezzo, if you will, and it looks like we've got a rear flank downdraft. You can see right in the middle there, it's kind of brightened up. So we've got some descending air there, and we'll see what happens here in the next few minutes, because sometimes that interface with this downdraft and where the air is rising into it can tighten up that rotation. So,
yeah, we're continuing to see that same trend on Fox 23 Doppler radar, looking at velocity data there too, that there is certainly a bit of an outflow push with it, but you're in an excellent vantage point. And again, not seeing any funnels or certainly no confirmed tornado with this. To recap, the tornado warning for southern Montgomery, mainly southwestern Montgomery, west of Coffeyville until 6:15, so 4 more minutes. Northern Washington County and Oklahoma until 6:45, and that's basically out of an abundance of caution because this thing is so close to the Kansas-Oklahoma state line. Just the safe call is to have that tornado warning for the northern couple of miles of Washington County. That's well north of Copan, Dewey, Bartlesville, and Highway 10 over toward Juan and Lenapaw. So this is the wall cloud moving east right along Highway 166 toward Tyro in south central parts of Montgomery County. Really ragged wall cloud base on it, but again, we're not seeing any kind of organized vertical funnel cloud trying to descend from it as well as this moves to the east. Here's the updated track on that as we look at it with Doppler radar. Moving toward Tyro just in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Fawn Creek, 632. Deering, 636. If this rotation holds together, we're looking into parts of the Coffeyville area by about 643. So that, you can see, is well north of Highway 10. Let me clear that out, and we're going to zoom in while we continue to have Greg's shot on the left side of your screen. And just to give you folks in Coffeyville an idea, this is still well to the west of you by at least 10 miles here. And the danger area continues right along Highway 166 all the way east toward Tyro. As we watch that circulation, it looks like it's about 3 miles to the west of Tyro, but moving slowly east at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So if you're in Tyro, even toward Fawn Creek, you need to take your tornado precautions. That means lowest level, smallest room, center part. If you're in a mobile home, get to a sturdy shelter that is not in your mobile home. Safe room, of course, is the best, or a basement too if you've got that. But Tyro, it's pretty much bearing down on you as we're looking west, right down Highway 166 at that rotation. Thankfully, we've not seen any funnels. No tornadoes have been confirmed with this, but the rotation continues strong to the point where it just needs to have that tornado warning in effect. It's still a little disorganized looking as we look at velocities, not quite as typical of an imminent tornado as what we often see, but that rotation continues strong. And again, moving right into the Tyro area. Greg is on Highway 166, just to the west of Tyro. Let's check in with Fox 23 Michaela Smith as we continue with these tornado warnings just to the north of Tulsa.
I remind everybody that the Tulsa Metro is not having a tornado warning right now. This is not an issue for the Metro. It is an issue to the north. So right now this is for Montgomery County and Washington County. So you can see, and it is just the northernmost part of Washington County too, just going ahead and include that. But that is still well to the north of Bartlesville and other populated cities in Washington County. So we have cleared this out of Chautauqua County, just talking about Montgomery County now. And we have moved now this main rotation to the east of Caney. We're getting a little bit closer to Tyro. That's what we've been telling you now, and then we'll continue to watch this very, very closely as it moves more off towards the east. If it stays together, it'll be just to the south of Fawn Creek and eventually towards Coffeyville. Again, you're still about 10 to 15 miles apart right now. So if you're in Coffeyville, just go ahead and start to take those precautions. Get your stuff together, have that go bag ready, get ready to get to that safe place, put the shoes on, have a helmet, something that you can do to protect your head in case you need to do that. If you are in a mobile home, find somewhere that has sturdier shelter. And just a friendly reminder too, that if you are having to shelter and you're having to walk away from your TV, that you can still use your Fox 23 weather app. We will still be going live there so you can still see what's going on and up to date if you have to step away from that TV, if it's not somewhere that you can shelter safely. So here's what we have going on. Okay, so we have just extended this tornado warning. Now we can take a look over and we can see that is until 7 o'clock now. So that will extend out towards Fawn Creek and to Coffeyville now. So Coffeyville, you have now been included in this tornado warning. So even though it's still off towards your west right now, it is moving that direction. So go ahead and start to take those precautions. Again, center part of your house, the most that you can possibly get. Rotation is still moving this direction. We'll see if we can get a little bit closer here. We'll kind of clear this alert and jump off. There we go. Wider view, this is what we have going on. You can see that's where a little bit of hail is at this point in time. Switch back over to reflectivity and then velocity. See if we've seen anything else here. So just go back over to velocity. There we go. So we can see here, this is where we're still talking about. It is very disorganized. Haven't seen a ton yet with this rotation. Haven't had anything confirmed that we have a tornado on the ground. But that doesn't mean that we're not spinning. That doesn't mean that the atmosphere can't produce a tornado at any point in time. So you still need to be taking those precautions. So we'll switch back over to reflectivity again. So just a reminder, this has been extended now. So moving off towards the east. We are still tracking this. We are still watching this very, very closely. But now this is to the east of Caney. That's where that rotation is, just to the south near Tyro. That's what we're talking about right now. So if you're just joining us, we have a tornado warning in effect. It does not include the Tulsa Metro. It's for our Kansas counties right now. Talking about Montgomery County, and as we continue to watch this getting closer to Coffeyville, but staying right now to the north of our Oklahoma counties too. So we're watching this very, very closely and looking at this reflectivity. Also still seeing a little bit of hail. Doesn't look quite as large as it was maybe 15 minutes ago or so. So that is good news that the hail is coming down some, but that doesn't mean overall that this storm is letting up at any point just yet. And we're seeing a little bit of a storm right behind too, so we'll watch this one very, very closely, how that kind of interacts with the storm too coming into play. But I'll send things back over to Chief Meteorologist James Adelot to kind of give you another update on how things are looking.
And again, we're tracking this rotation and possible funnel or tornado moving east, very close to Tyro right now. And if this holds together, it's going to be close to Deering and West Coffeyville by 6:43. Pfister Park, and then the Parker area by 6:50. The tornado warning is in effect officially now until 7 o'clock for southern parts of Montgomery County. The National Weather Service continues to follow along in the National Weather Service in Tulsa, issuing that tornado warning in the extreme northeastern corner of Washington County. This is north of Highway 10. But the main rotation is still a few miles north of the border, but it's just so close to the Kansas-Oklahoma state line that out of an abundance of caution, that tornado warning has been issued. So Tyro area right now with that rotation, it is not as strong or organized as it looked just a few minutes ago, but it's still the strongest rotation we've seen so far this year, and it's passing very close to Tyro. You saw that storm track. If this holds together, Fawn Creek, there's West Coffeyville, Pfister Park. Coffeyville is now in the updated tornado warning polygon. Greg McLaughlin on the left side of your screen, our storm tracker, is heading east on Highway 166. Now, still in the Tyro area. I'm not sure if he's still on the line, but let's check in. Let's check in with Fox 23 Storm Tracker Greg McLaughlin. And Greg, looks like you're repositioning east on 166. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so since my last stop there, the base, the bottom of the cloud has lifted It's a lot higher up off the ground than it was earlier, so it tells me this storm has become slightly more elevated than it was earlier. And in the immediate term, that would render the tornado threat, pretty much zero at this time. There's still rotation in the updraft, but it's nowhere close to being as low of an updraft base as we had earlier.
Okay, Greg, yeah, and again, that's what we're seeing not only with your great shot right here directly in front of the updraft of this storm, but the radar presentation looks a little bit more ragged as well. And it's an important sign to see the base of this cloud actually climbing, just raising it a little further away from the ground too. It's as you know, when you get these wall clouds real low to the ground, that's one factor that helps generate tornado development. So far, that's not what we have seen. So we still have a wall cloud. We still have a strong updraft. As you said, it looks like this may be getting elevated or being undercut slightly by more stable, rain-cooled downdraft air from other parts of the thunderstorm. And you got to keep in mind, these thunderstorms are a balancing act when it comes to severe weather. So if one factor is just a little too high, it can often reduce that severe weather threat or tornado threat significantly. But all of those factors are also constantly in flux. So even though you may have all these factors together at one point generate at least a very strong rotation, which is what we saw a little earlier, they don't always stay steady state in this manner. Let's jump back to radar as we continue on the left side of your screen to watch that wall cloud very close to Tyro right now. This is continuing to move east toward Fawn Creek, toward West Coffeyville. Here's Pfister Park, and this is the city of Coffeyville. The tornado warning into Montgomery County stops. The southern edge of this is right on the state line between Oklahoma and Kansas. It looks like that main rotation continues in the Tyro area, maybe just a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be close to Tyro. Greg, where are you in relation to Tyro?
I am just east of it by, how many miles is that? Like 3 miles east of Tyro on 166.
Okay, so that rotation, does it look like to you, is already past Tyro now?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, now that updraft's probably sitting over the top of it at this point. That'd be my guess. Yeah, it's sitting right over the top of it.
Okay, so we've got on radar at least a little bit of reflectivity kind of feeding into that updraft, and that's why I have to get that spotter report of exactly where that main circulation is, and it's very close to Tyro, as Greg said. And that's continuing to move east. Again, 15 to 20 miles per hour, and if this storm continues to push out outflow air, oftentimes that will outpace and choke off that updraft. So hopefully that's the process that we're seeing taking place right now. Nothing confirmed as far as a tornado. We've had a couple of brief funnel reports in the last 30 minutes, but that's about it. But Greg is right on this storm, looking from Highway 166 into the Tyro area. So right along Highway 166 is the threat zone all the way over to Fawn Creek. So the tornado warning in effect until 7 o'clock. Our team coverage continues with Fox 23 meteorologist Michaela Smith. Michaela?
I'm still looking at what you said, James. Right now we have that tornado warning until 7 o'clock, so we have a little bit of ways to go unless they decide to discontinue this early. But we can see just towards the east of Tyro, just to the south of Fawn Creek, that's where that main rotation is. And you can see there's a little bit of lightning that we're seeing also along with this storm, so it's a good idea to go ahead and be in your house in general because, you know, when thunder roars, go indoors. And you can see some lightning, some hail too, where we're seeing a little bit of these pinky colors. That's what we're talking about. So maybe if we switch over here for a second, we can click here on and see that hail. So we can see more of a wide view right now. This is where that tornado warning right now is in the severe thunderstorm warning. Now we still do have some storms that are back behind areas off towards the west. So we'll continue to watch that this evening. But that main threat again is areas to the north right now. So we'll take a moment here just to kind of zoom back in and see what we're dealing with at this point in time. Try to get a closer look here and see what's going on and clear that alert. Click this and see what's doing. So like I said, tornado warning right now. Let me step aside here just for a second and see what we're looking at. That is going to be the main setup that we're talking about, is this tornado warning that we're watching very, very closely. So that's going to include Fawn Creek. We've continued this a little bit more now, so it's also going to include parts of Nowata. So that's going to have South Coffeyville in it. That's also until 7 o'clock this evening. So just as abundance of caution, we have not seen a confirmed tornado with this at any point in time. But just in an abundance of caution, we're continuing to put this tornado warning ahead of things. So that's why now parts of Nowata County too is going to be included in this. Still seeing quite a bit of lightning activity closer to that circulation, which is closer to between about Tyro and Fawn Creek at this point. So Coffeyville, it is not to you just yet, but you are included in this tornado warning. That includes the city of Coffeyville, that includes South Coffeyville. You can see this is for Montgomery County and Nowata County, and we have Washington County too. Washington County is until 6:45 this evening. Nowata County and Montgomery County, that is until 7 o'clock this evening. So we still have a bit of a ways to go that we're watching this very, very closely. But at this point in time, we have not had any confirmed tornadoes, so that is good news. We've had a few reports of funnel clouds, but in the last few minutes or so, things have really started to improve. Looks like things are going up just a little bit more, a little less organization. So it's always a good sign when we start to see less organization with a storm like this. So we can continue to watch this very, very closely. We'll click here for the hail and see if we can switch that over. So closer to Fawn Creek, that's where the biggest hail is at this point in time. You can see maybe a little bit closer to Little Caney, just behind that with that storm. That's kind of right behind that. So tornado warning obviously is our biggest threat right now, but then we also have a severe thunderstorm warning for a wider area, I believe, or maybe that also is expired. That has expired at this point in time, so that is good news. Fawn Creek, Coffeyville, this is where our main focus is right now that we're watching. Everyone else right now, Tulsa Metro, if you're just now joining us, things are looking okay right now. The Metro is dry. We do not have a tornado warning for the Metro, but it is for our counties to the north. So you can see Montgomery County, Nowata County, and Washington County right now. That is going to be until 6:45 or 7 o'clock this evening. So that's when you need to take the time now. Have your go bag ready if it's not over you just yet. Get to the most center, safest part of your house that you possibly can be, away from doors, away from windows. Have that helmet. Go ahead and put those shoes on just in case you need it, and then get somewhere that you can be safe. And if you can't take, again, your TV with you, obviously, you can always watch us too on your app just so you can stay safe and stay aware. So let's click over to reflector or the velocity, see if we're seeing any new updates. Still looks a little disorganized here, so that is good news. Again, if we started to see this tighten up a little bit more, that would be indications that we're talking about a better chance for seeing a tornado on the ground. But because we're not seeing that right now, that is always a good sign too for us. And we can click over here back to that reflectivity. Still a storm that we're watching very, very closely. Still a tornado warning in effect. Still talking about heavy rainfall. Still talking about frequent lightning. Still talking about hail possibilities. So you still need to be inside, taking this very seriously. And this could still at any point in time pull together and drop a tornado, which is why we've kept that tornado warning. And we're watching it very, very closely. But at this point in time, we have not had anything confirmed for you that there has been a tornado on the ground. So here's that wider view one more time. Things are nice and dry across the Tulsa Metro. We are not worried about any tornado warnings here. We still do have a few storms areas off towards the west, so watching that very closely too as this continues to move more this direction. And then we can see severe thunderstorm watch. That is what has been in effect until 9 o'clock this evening. So that includes Osage, Washington, Nowata, Craig, and our 2 Kansas counties too. So that is until 9 o'clock. That is where that tornado warning right now is for areas to the north. And then just always a reminder, tornado safety. You need to be getting into the lowest level, most interior room of your house. Wear your shoes, have your helmet, turn up the volume on your TV or your phone. If again, you can take us with your Fox 23 weather app, and stay sheltered until we can give you the go-ahead, that it's go-ahead time to kind of get away from that. So severe thunderstorm watch right now. I think we send things back over to James and kind of see how things are updated right now.
Yeah, again, this is the latest storm track as we watch that rotation now east of Tyro, Deering, West Coffeyville by 6:44, Pfister Park at about 6:49, Parker, Coffeyville, if it holds together, at 6:54, and that's moving east at about 20 miles per hour, pretty much along Highway 166 is that main threat area. Let me drop that. Let's go to high-resolution Doppler radar and get right into Montgomery County here and right into this part of the storm. Let's check velocity because it looks like that main rotation is still located just to the southeast of Tyro, kind of in this area. New tornado warning, as Michaela has said, that does get through northern Nowata County, but north of Highway 10. So this is not including Nowata or Lenapaw or anybody further into middle parts of the county or really anywhere south of Highway 10. So Noxie and back over towards South Coffeyville until 7 o'clock. The main rotation continues here just to the southeast of Tyro in this area. I've not seen any indication of any kind of debris being lofted with this storm at all. So we have had no confirmed report of any tornado with it, but we've had a couple of funnel clouds reported. Let's jump back to reflectivity, and let's check in with Fox 23 storm tracker Greg McLaughlin, who is on Highway 166, has been watching, following the storm all the way from just southeast of Sedan, Kansas. And Greg, give me an update what you're seeing visually.
James, yeah, I don't know how well you can hear me. My phone's kind of breaking up. I'm just now on the west side of Coffeyville. Just turned back around to get another view of the storm. And, yeah, to me, it looks like it's still on. Yeah, I would say overall, it looks like it's just still not nearly as organized as it was 15 minutes ago. Even the striations in the updraft have kind of become more soft, less less structured, if you will. It just doesn't have the definition it had a little bit ago. It is trying to kind of lower in maybe on the south edge of this updraft, but again, it's definitely not imminent tornado potential. But again, we still have a supercell that is rotating. It's got quite a bit of lightning with it. I can see the hail core, and it looks like it's just on the north side of 166, between here and was that Tyro, that town back to the west there. So I'm not sure how big the hail is there. I haven't encountered any hail along the highway here, but it does look like that hail core is just off to the north side of the road. But again, I don't see I say that it may be trying to organize a little bit more now. The base is starting to lower back in, so we're just going to have to keep watching this. Obviously, I'm losing daylight, so at nighttime we'll have to use lightning flashes, power flashes if there was any kind of wind damage or an actual tornado to see what's going on. So it becomes a lot more difficult to really watch what's happening here as we get more into the nighttime hours.
Okay, Greg, thank you very much. And again, just stay right in front of that storm and give us updates. We still have probably another good half hour of daylight and twilight left. Tornado warning remains in effect, northern Nowata County until 7 o'clock, southern parts of Montgomery County until 7 o'clock in Kansas. The main rotation is now east of Tyro. We can give the all clear to everybody from Tyro back to the west. But Fawn Creek, hail moving in to that part of Montgomery County, and the main rotation area continues to sit southeast of Tyro and along Highway 166, right along maybe just on or north of the Kansas-Oklahoma state line. There's a little bit of wobble here north and south, which is not uncommon with these storms that are moving so slowly. Updated track on that storm as it moves again between 15 and 20 miles per hour. And again, zeroing in on Coffeyville as we get close to 7 o'clock, if this rotation can hold together. You can see on the left side of your screen, that's Greg McLaughlin's view. The fuzziness on the right half of Greg's shot is mostly large hail falling out of that. That's what's moving into Fawn Creek. And the striated kind of bowl-shaped structure, that's the wall cloud that's just next to the hail. He's also getting a lot of lightning in this part of the storm as well. But as we look at the base of that wall cloud, it is not really indicating that we have a funnel or anything forming with it right now. It's just watching closely with the striations on the cloud base. You can certainly see that there is some rotation visually with this storm too. So we'll keep a close eye on that, and that is our tornado warning until 7 o'clock. Let's jump back south because there is no imminent threat at all for the metro area. We've seen a couple of other thunderstorms try to develop closer to Pawhuska, but so far they're a long way from any severe weather worries. We've had one area of storms move out of parts of Kingfisher County into Logan County. That could eventually move towards Stillwater. That's what would move toward the metro area as well. That's going to be mid to late evening. And the good news is, looking long term, it looks like instability will begin to improve just a little bit, a little less instability. So I expect the severe weather threat to gradually wind down, especially as we get toward mid-evening. Greg's shot of this wall cloud in parts of south central Montgomery County on the left side of your screen. And we'll watch this really closely as it gets closer to Coffeyville. I want to take one more look at that, and we'll head back over to Michaela for an update. We get into these purples. That's where some of that large hail is falling. The main rotation, again, looks like it's sitting southeast of Tyro, almost straight south of Fawn Creek between the border and Highway 166. We're getting a little bit noisy velocity in here south of Highway 166, but this is the threat area, and that's going to continue to move toward the east, toward Coffeyville, crossing 169 between South Coffeyville and Coffeyville. So again, watchful waiting in Coffeyville as we look at this rotation move a little closer. If you're in a mobile home in Coffeyville, now's the time to get out and get to a sturdy shelter. Single-family home, you've got a little bit more time because you're sheltering in that single-family home, but mobile homes are the absolute worst place to be during a tornado threat. So you need to be out of that. You have time in Coffeyville and South Coffeyville, if you're in a mobile home, to get out of that and get into shelter. One more check-in with Greg, and then we'll check in with Michaela. Greg, again, watching this wall cloud, it looks like there are some, at least some condensation of clouds underneath the wall cloud too, which is always a little concerning.
Yeah, like you're seeing there, it's trying to lower the basin a little bit. The overall push of those low clouds is from the right to left, which would indicate outflow at the time. It's not a real strong push, so it'll be interesting to see if there becomes a balance underneath this lowering updraft. But it does look like maybe this storm is actually cycling back up again visually. I've still got striations here. They look a little bit better, and like you're saying, that we're starting to see this lower back in a little bit. So we'll just have to keep watching it here.
All right, Greg, as we continue to see, still the rotation is consistent. It's not high end, but it is still consistent. And that's the shot that Greg has of this wall cloud now as it is passing, looks like southeast of Tyro, moving south of Deering right now. And if it continues moving east, we're going to be edging a little closer to Coffeyville. So as we said, in Coffeyville, if you're in a mobile home, you've got to get to a safe shelter. You have time to do that right now. If you're in a home, you can still watch this thing for a little bit longer, hoping that it continues to weaken. But the organization of the wall cloud does look a little bit visually like it's a little bit better organized, which is not good news, but it's still capable of spinning up a tornado. So that's why the tornado warning is in effect until 7 o'clock. Southern Montgomery and extreme northern Nowata County does include South Coffeyville and Coffeyville. No immediate threat in Tulsa right now. It's a long way away, thankfully. Let's check in with Fox 23 meteorologist Michaela Smith. Michaela?
Yeah, James. So again, this is what we're focusing on right now, is this tornado warning that we do have in effect until 7 o'clock this evening. We have gotten rid of that for Chautauqua and Washington counties, but we still do have this in effect for Nowata and Montgomery counties. And for Nowata, it is just the far most northern parts right along the border of our Kansas border, just to be safe. But all of this activity, really not even seeing a ton of rain in parts of Nowata County. It has been staying in parts of Montgomery County. So this main circulation is closer to Deering and Fawn Creek right now. So if you were in this tornado warning, you need to be following those tornado precautions. You need to be getting to the most center part of your house that you can be, away from walls, away from windows. You need to be in a tornado shelter if you have one, lowest level if you possibly can be. If you're slightly ahead of this storm, area still closer to Coffeyville, you still do have time. If you were in a mobile home, you need to go somewhere that has a better shelter, more sturdy shelter. A mobile home is kind of the worst place that you possibly can be. So somewhere you're going to be a little bit safer right now. Now, we haven't had a confirmed tornado with this. We've been watching it very, very closely. You can see here on the side, that's where we have our storm tracker, Greg McLaughlin, shot up right now, and we have not seen anything touch down. We have had multiple reports of funnel clouds, but nothing at this point in time has been confirmed for a tornado. But that doesn't mean that this storm is still not spinning like a top, and we're watching it very, very closely for the possibilities of this to drop. So again, this is the area of rotation that we're watching very, very closely. Still to the west of Coffeyville right now, but it is getting closer to Coffeyville. So if you were in Coffeyville, now is the time that you need to be taking in those severe weather precautions. You need to be getting to the lowest level of your house, most center space that you can be. This severe thunderstorm warning is a little bit wider, but the tornado warning is going to continue until 7 o'clock this evening. Now, besides the tornado, we also are seeing some hail. So we'll go ahead and click this over and kind of see where that is going to be. And you can see here in this other color with this gray, that's going to be Fawn Creek, West Coffeyville. That's where we're seeing most of the hail right now. Now, this hail has come down in size in the last 20 minutes or so. So we're talking about maybe pea-sized hail, maybe slightly larger than that. But overall, the hail doesn't look like it's too big with this storm. So that is also good news. We'll switch this back over to reflectivity, see what we're looking at, check in on that velocity and see. Switch over to velocity. There we go. See what we're looking at. So here's that rotation. Again, it is very messy, not super organized. Doesn't mean that we still can't possibly have a tornado out of this, but at this point in time, it is not the most organized thing that we're talking about. But it is just to the south of Fawn Creek, closer to Deering, so it is now towards the east of Tyro. If you were in Tyro, you can rest assured now that things are good because this has moved off towards your east, but it is still to the west of West Coffeyville, Coffeyville, South Coffeyville. These are the areas that you need to go ahead and be prepared now. Again, if you have not gone into your shelter just yet and you've been watching and waiting, now is the time. Grab that go bag, go into the most center part of your room that you can be. If you have to step away from your TV, you can use your Fox 23 weather app or go online. You can watch us live still that way, so that way you can be safe and that way you can still continue to hear updates and what's going on. So this is your velocity. This is the area of rotation that we're talking about. It is not a very well-defined area of rotation, and at this point in time, we have not seen anything confirmed, but we're still going to watch this very, very closely. So they've canceled? Okay, so that's good news. So Nowata has canceled and they've dropped that tornado warning. So now all we're talking about is still Montgomery County too. So here's that where it was canceled. We're just now talking about our Kansas County. So that's going to be continuing still until about 7 o'clock this evening. So that's another 21 minutes that we're going to continue to very closely monitor and watch the storm. Areas that we just need to be prepared for. So let's switch this back over to reflectivity. There we go. So this is what we're talking about. This is the storm right now, and it doesn't look great. It's kind of falling apart. You can see there's a storm just rightly behind it. We can kind of take a little bit of a zoom out and see. And this is kind of cutting it off a little bit, which is actually good news for us because it's starting to cut this area of circulation off, kind of keeping it from getting the fuel and things that it needs to continue to possibly produce a tornado. So we're not seeing the best rotation and kind of just structure anymore out of this. And it looks like right now we have dropped that tornado warning, James, so that is good news too. We have officially no longer on here, so want to send it back over to you, kind of wrap things up. But I think right now at least we still have a storm to watch very closely, still a little bit of hail, but the good news is we've dropped that tornado warning.
Yeah, again, as we've watched visually, the rotation looking at Doppler radar data, just a little bit weaker. So tornado warning canceled a little earlier for northern Nowata County and now for southern Montgomery County. And as we look, just for one more recap in Tulsa, the closest severe weather to us, at least that could threaten parts of the metro area, just now approaching Stillwater. We're talking late evening at this point. And looking longer term, the overall instability level will continue to slowly drop as we head through the rest of the evening. So overall, the main severe weather threat should be beginning to wind down slowly. This is a severe thunderstorm watch in our area. It does include Osage, Washington, Nowata, and Craig County, and also Montgomery and parts of Chautauqua County too. But right into that storm that was tornado warned, again, it looks like the organization is coming apart pretty quickly. So really good news there. And because that tornado warning has now been canceled about 15 minutes early, we will rejoin Fox 23 News at 6:30. But we will be right here if this thing ramps up again, and we'll be right back on if needed.